Hey, welcome back to building my TARDIS console, or my TARDIS Console Project. I hope you watched the previous videos. I know the last one was quite long. I'm going to try to keep this one as short as possible, within reason of, you know, teaching how everything goes together, and I really hope you really enjoy it. So, last week specifically, we talked about how I do the initial research. Now, initial research, again, covers with, can I do it, how can I do it, and what do I need to get it done? Today, I want to show you the next stage in that. What I did, and I may have mentioned this in the last video, was that I had the console, at least the general shape, completely 3D modeled by my good friend Andrew. And what this allowed me to do was actually visually put everything in a specific shape so I can start planning out what pieces and parts I need to look up and buy. Especially with scaling down, I want to try and keep as much of it as full size as possible within reason, because being shrunk down and you lose about 6 inches per panel, you can lose quite a bit. So I wanted to see how that worked out. So in twofold ways here, I had to get an idea about how the whole thing went together. So what I did is I grabbed some foam core and I cut out, and I printed off some concepts of my actual planning stage. So as I showed those in the last video, I'm going to show them again here. There's 6 panels that I'm working on. One panel I am going to be creative with, so it's just kind of blank. But the other panels have some rough ideas. Now, since last video actually, and since even by the time you see this video, I've made changes to each of the panels. I'm starting to find actual parts, and I'm starting to ID certain things and try and make things fit as well as possible. Plus, the first one I did, the ones I printed anyway, were just a real quick way of doing that. So I got those printouts, I brought them in, I got one full sheet of foam core, and then I put them together and cut them all out and duct taped it together. So I'm going to show you that here in a second, but it allowed me to see a full scale representation of the entire build. So I hope you're excited to see it, because I'm going to go grab this and show you now. Whoop. All right, so mind the mess, and I know it's gonna be really hard to see here. I'm gonna throw this back on the tripod here in a second, but I quickly wanted to give you an idea about how big this entire thing was in scale to my prop / office space here. I'm gonna go up the little stairs a little bit, and hopefully you get a nice view. It's gonna be quite large, which I'm excited about. Despite the fact that it's scaled, it's still gonna be large. And then each of my panels here, I've roughly sketched out the pieces and the parts and each of the little areas that you will see eventually filled up with real parts. Now again, this is just a concept of each panel. And as future videos come, I might be handling a panel of video to try and get an idea about what I need. Changes like this one, for instance, I completely changed how the bottom went, so that'll come up in the video for sure coming up. There you go. Each panel is unique, has different pieces, but again, I needed to see how it was going to go, how it was going to play out, and how it was all going to lay out. Just to give you an idea of how the scale looks. And again, I'm in the forefront here, so hopefully you can still see it's quite large. So I'm looking forward to that. Let me get actually in the middle here, which might even give a better sense of scale. So you can see how each piece goes. Plus, you can also see how it already has its shape, three-dimensional shape. And when you're dealing with this kind of shape, it's actually really interesting, because if you lay them all down and you want to actually take a look, you would actually have a giant gap. So if I were to split this apart and lay it flat, there would be a giant gap, which allows these pieces together to build up. So there you go, just a rough idea. Now the reason I did this was so that I can visually see it. I can make sure my dimensions were about correct. I wanted to have about 30-inch point to point inside here. And I think I just about got that. So one of the reasons I did that, to make sure the dimensions are right. The other reason I did it was to get an appreciation of the actual scale of the entire build, so that I could say, I know what I'm doing. Plus it also gave me the opportunity to start actually planning out and seeing what pieces I needed to really make it all work. But yeah, so there you go. Second video in here, an idea of how to plan concept, or this would be more of a proof, I guess, in that stage of things. So anyway, if you have any questions, be sure to ask me in the comments below. Next week, I will actually have the first panel. I'll talk about a video talk about the pieces I found. Maybe you can help me find some pieces I have no idea what they are, or at the very least, if I find out the name, that you can actually help me source them. So be sure to comment if you have any questions, ideas, or thoughts at this point. And be sure to share this. I'm really excited to share this process with you, so come along the journey with me. For now, if you want to click over here to subscribe, again, pretty much about every Monday I'm going to have this video, so I really can't wait to show them to you. And if you want, be sure to click, let me make sure I'm getting this correct here. Be sure you click here and here to check out the last 2 videos, and we'll just keep updating them as they come. Anyway, thanks so much for liking and subscribing, but most importantly, thanks for watching.